It was a cold, dark night in 1888 on the streets of Whitechapel, London. A man was riding his horse-drawn cart when his horse suddenly stopped, scared of something ahead. The man lit a match to see what was wrong. What he saw shocked him. A woman lying dead, her throat cut from ear to ear. What he didn't know was that Jack the Ripper, the killer, was hiding nearby in the shadows. He had just committed the gruesome murder and was still catching his breath. How did Jack escape when he was so close to being caught? Why, after so many murders, was he never found? These questions still puzzle people today. Jack the Ripper is one of the most famous serial killers in history. He attacked women in the poor East End of London, a place full of narrow streets, dim lights, and crime. Whitechapel in the 1880s was a tough place to live. Many people were very poor, and some women had to become prostitutes to survive. Jack the Ripper chose these women as his victims, killing and mutilating them in ways that terrified the city. The first victim we know of was Mary Ann Nichols, known as Polly. On August 31st, 1888, her body was found with her throat cut and her stomach horribly injured. Her body was discovered only minutes after she was killed, meaning the killer was still nearby. But no one saw him. How did he manage to commit such a terrible crime and disappear so quickly? This murder shocked the community, but it was only the beginning. A week later, on September 8th, Annie Chapman became Jack's next victim. She was killed in a similar way, with brutal cuts to her body. Some people heard screams that night, but no one investigated. When her body was found, experts believed the killer had knowledge of human anatomy, like a doctor or a butcher. This made the murders even more chilling. By now, newspapers had given him a name, Jack the Ripper. His crimes became the talk of the city, spreading fear throughout London. The killings didn't stop. On September 29, 1888, Jack shocked everyone by murdering 2 women in one night. Elizabeth Stride was the first victim. She was found with her throat cut, but her body wasn't mutilated, possibly because the killer was interrupted. Less than an hour later, he killed again. Catherine Eddowes was found with terrible injuries, including her kidney removed. The way he targeted specific organs made people think he was highly skilled. How did he manage to kill 2 people in such a short time without being caught? This double murder showed just how bold and dangerous Jack the Ripper was. One of the closest moments to catching him happened that same night. A man named Louis Deemschutz found Elizabeth Stride's body in a dark yard. Jack the Ripper was likely still nearby, hiding in the shadows. If Louis had raised the alarm immediately, the killer might have been caught. But instead, he ran to get help, giving Jack the time he needed to escape. When people returned to the scene, the killer was gone. This was one of many times Jack narrowly avoided capture. After November 1888, the murders stopped as suddenly as they began. People wondered why. Did Jack die? Was he arrested for another crime? Or did he just decide to stop? Over the years, many theories have tried to explain who Jack the Ripper was. Some believe he was a doctor or a butcher because of the way he mutilated his victims. Others think he might have been a rich man or even someone working with the police. Letters sent to the police, like the famous "From Hell" letter, claimed to be from the killer, but no one knows if they were real or just a cruel joke. Jack the Ripper's crimes weren't just brutal murders. They also showed how tough life was in Victorian London, especially for the poor. The East End was a place full of danger, where the police didn't always take crime seriously. Jack the Ripper took advantage of this. He knew the dark alleys and winding streets of Whitechapel, which made it easy for him to escape after each murder. Even though over a century has passed, no one knows who Jack the Ripper really was. Modern science has helped uncover some clues, but no answer has been confirmed. People are still fascinated by his story, but the question is, who was he? Why did he kill? And how did he escape time after time?